Hey, what's up, nerds? Paul here at Radio Free Hammer Hall, and today we're bringing you obligatory end of year review show. So, what has happened in the past year? Well, let's start off with the basics. We started the year with 730 subscribers. We're up to 984 subscribers at the time of making this video. So it's about a 35% increase in subscribers. So that's cool. Thank you, everybody that hits the subscribe button. Um, Also, in the middle of the year, I created the AOS memes and shitposting Facebook page. I'll link that below because I really never formally linked the channel and that Facebook page, but we've got 365 members in 7 months, so it it's been fun. A lot of fun and funny stuff has been posted. People have been very cool. And I want to take a lot more of that tone and bring it to the channel, and just have more fun here, because ultimately, that's what this channel's always been about for me, is the stuff that's fun for me. And I'm gonna, as I go through, I took notes, like 2 pages of notes, and I just wanted to go through reflecting on the year and where I'm going, what I want to do with the channel, where my hobby is going, all of those sorts of things. So, yeah, I want to kind of bring together the content of the meme page and my YouTube. And I'm not sure 100% how to do that yet. I was honestly thinking of doing a meme review show, where I periodically just pull up memes and do kind of a fun analysis of the memes. Not sure if I'm going to do that yet, but let me know down in the comments if you think that'll be a cool idea. I don't know. I did start a Patreon this year. Hasn't really totally gotten off the ground yet, but that's okay. Part of the issue, I think, is that I've had very irregular content, both in frequency, regularity, quality. I've been all over the place. I've personally had a really rough year. So and next year's not looking much better for me. So I'm probably going to continue with the inconsistency, which is the number one thing that kills a YouTube channel, is being really inconsistent about a lot of things. So I think I'm going to continue kind of on the path and just continue with the idea with the Patreon. It's to help improve the quality of videos, but with the understanding of everybody that you're not going to get a weekly video from me. You're not going to get a monthly video. You're going to get a short burst of videos when things are going good, and then it's going to be a while, and then I'm going to post a few more videos when things are good. And that's just sort of how it's going to be for a while, I think. Regular content is going to be really hard for me. So, and I don't want to make a video and then put it on a time delay just to make it look like I'm on a schedule. Fuck it. If I'm making stuff, I'm going to give it to you guys. And I'm doing this for fun. And hopefully you all are watching for fun as well. A lot of my more serious videos that I've done are really a lot of Math Hammer focused. And I think the really nitty gritty Math Hammer that I used to do, I think is kind of dead. And I think I've talked about this on the channel before, but really, Games Workshop has finally created a formula for figuring out points. And they kind of have they plug everything into this base formula. It spits out a points value, and then they adjust that a little bit for stuff that doesn't necessarily fit into the formula. And for some things, it's been harder to point than others. But if you look at your stock standard troops, they're getting that stuff dead on. If you look at the Cities of Sigmar book, you have multiple units that are filling similar roles that are all a little bit different, and their points values kind of vary up and down with what they're good at and what their overall value comparatively to each other is. Um, so I mean, I like the most expensive like elite infantry are like Phoenix Guard and Great Swords, which I think both of those are one, worth their points, and two, definitely the best two of those that class of units. And then you have your Iron Breakers that are a little bit less, you have your executioners that are a little bit less, etc. Anyway, so what does that mean for my math hammer? It means that it's really more comparative stuff, and looking at the things that are a little bit harder to compare. Like one that I really want to do now is a comparison of the old Plague Monk War Scroll to the new Plague Monk War Scroll, because they changed the War Scroll and not the points. So we have this really like direct comparison of like which one's better and how much better is it. So that is, real questions that I think are out there that people want to know. And how much worse is one than the other? And is it still overpowered even if it's been powered down? Which let's all assume it's been powered down. I've done preliminary napkin math. It's definitely been powered down. My focus too is just generally less on power gaming and more on just finding simple answers to things, doing comparisons between things to just kind of quantitatively figure out like what in this role does this, like what to create for expectations about things. So that's really going to be a shift in my content in general, I think, that I've already been doing a bit. And that's kind of shifting from like if we're thinking about psychographic profiles, shifting from spiky content to Johnny Timmy content. And I think most of the Warhammer community sits in that Johnny Timmy space. And it's a very small percentage of players that are actually in the spike space. And I feel like a lot of, and I don't mean this as a criticism of anybody, right? I love lots of YouTube creators and blog and podcast creators and all of that. There is a lot of spike service in those things, lots of it. And what is the most popular battle report channel? Mini Wargaming. Why is Mini Wargaming so popular? Despite all of the spiky players complaining about them constantly because they get rules wrong, they use crappy armies, they don't play well, like all of those sorts of things. Like, why do so many people flock to them despite the criticisms of the quote unquote more elite players? The answer is that they're playing games more like what the average player is actually experiencing. So, like, sometimes you want to watch what's going on at the top tables. Sometimes you just want to watch games that are more like what you actually experience in your local club. So I think that's what they're serving is more of that experience. And that has become more of my own experience, is just like what's happening at the local club, not what's happening at the top tables of a tournament. It's what's happening in the middle tables of a tournament where everybody's having fun, having a couple of drinks, and, just having a good time playing what they like. Or, playing in an escalation league, playing in a Path to Glory league, playing Warcry, which, by the way, I definitely want to do some Warcry content at some point. I just kind of haven't figured out what I want to do with it. Maybe I'll just do battle reports. I don't know. But Warcry has definitely been a big thing locally. We've played a lot of Warcry, had a lot of fun, and we have another Warcry league coming up soon. So that's going to be very cool. I think also I want to talk more a little bit about like narrative gaming and things like that. Although For myself, I'm sort of into narrative. I am not into really like the fluff of the game, but the narrative that I really like is when you have things set up in the game, and even just when you can even be playing 2,000 point match play and just not be playing really super serious lists, and it's the story that's created by the epic things that happen in the game. Let me give you a good example from a Path to Glory league that we did at our local club recently. There was one player that was playing Iron Jaws, and for the first several weeks, he didn't roll more troops. He just kept rolling hero rewards. And his starting list was a Maw Crusher and a unit of pigs. So what happened? You had this army with 2 units that have just been getting powered up, mostly the Maw Crusher getting powered up. And it became this unstoppable force. I could have more than double the amount of points on the table that he did, and I would still get crushed because of this epic, impossible to kill Maw Crusher. Now, that is an awesome narrative experience that was created, and it doesn't have anything to do with like the fluff of the game. It's the narrative that's created by the game experience, and it's the stories we tell about playing the game. Now, me in that Path to Glory league, I had the opposite experience. I kept rolling more followers, so I had like the biggest army out of pretty much anybody in the league. Like I just had like the most points on the table, and part of that was from just, like playing lots of games. Path to Glory is really fun for those who haven't played it. Part of the reason it's fun is because you just have smaller armies. You can get a lot more reps in. You do crazy stuff because you're using troops you don't usually use. You get upgrades on troops and heroes that it just makes your things epic sometimes, So it drives a fun narrative, and it's not about the fluff. It's about creating the narrative of your own game experience. And that's the stuff that I really enjoy. So I think I'm going to somehow figure out how to talk about that more. Maybe I'll just do like a week in review of like my leagues that I play in. We're getting to the end of an escalation league right now. Our next several weeks are going to be the final tier, the 2,000 point armies. So we're probably only going to get like 1 or 2 games a week in. But, the thing that I've been trying to do in that escalation league, whoops, just whacked my table, is I'm playing Cities of Sigmar, but I'm trying to like rotate through, use lots of different troops, use all the different cities as much as I can. I think I'm only missing Anvil Guard and Phoenicium at this point that I haven't tried at all in this league or in general. Phoenicium, I feel like I'm not going to touch because it's really based on the Phoenixes, and I don't own Phoenixes, and I'm not planning on buying Phoenixes just to try them out. But Anvil Guard I could certainly do something with, and I really want to challenge myself and do the Anvil Guard video, because the thing that I've been saying since the book dropped is Anvil Guard, competitively speaking, is the worst city. And I stand by that still, that competitively it's the worst city, but it really makes me want to challenge myself with this sort of new perspective and ethos that I have to like look at it and be like, okay, so what do we actually do with this city that sucks competitively? Like, how do we make the best out of this that we can? And how do we lean into what this army is trying to do? So anyway, I'm kind of like diverting from the point. This is really just me kind of a little bit of stream of consciousness, guys, on this particular video. And I apologize for those that get annoyed when I do this. I've definitely gotten comments that are like, dude, I can barely listen to this. This is all over the place. Lots of ums and ahs, whatever. get used to it, guys. This is just the shit that I do. If you don't like that, maybe this is not the channel for you. So one of the things that has changed majorly for YouTube in general over the past year is that there was actually like a technical behind the scenes thing that happened with YouTube where they changed the format for us doing live streaming. And now we have to do it through like external software rather than we were using Google Hangouts on Air previously, which was super easy and intuitive to use, and it was slam dunk, no problem. And they're like, no, you're just not going to do this anymore. I have found some alternatives that are pretty easy to use, so I think I'm probably going to go to that. I don't think I'm going to have like a consistent show where I do that. Will I do some paint-a-sodes? Will I do some group discussions? Sure. Like, that sounds like fun. I want to do that because those group things are a lot of fun. But like, it's a pain in the ass. And for like, to do it really well, like to really emulate what we were doing with Google Hangouts on Air, like it costs money. And like that was part of the reason like that I started the Patreon is like if like I'm not gonna spend money on this stuff. Like if people want to see this stuff, I'll throw up a Patreon, and if I'm getting enough money a month, then I'll subscribe to these things. But it's like I'm like this is a hobby. I'm not gonna dump tons of money into just doing YouTube for fun and all of that. So I apologize to anybody that is disappointed by that, but that's the way it is. So as I've pointed out, like in general, I'm like not only with my own hobby, but mirroring that in the content of the channel, I really want to shift away from competitive gaming and power gaming into more, I don't want to say casual gaming, but the gaming that's really experienced by the average person. And I've really been kind of shifting there myself. Like Cities of Sigmar came out and I just went into like total Johnny Timmy mode. And I was like, oh, this is how I like to play this game. And I took a Hammerhall list to a GT and I had a great time. I went 2 and 3 at that GT, but I had a great time. I was playing a list that I loved, an army that I loved. I was there with friends. I was having some drinks, having a great time. Like all of my games, except one game against Slaanesh, was really close. And even my game against Slaanesh was not like, it wasn't the ridiculous blowout that Slaanesh usually is. And I don't know if that was because of the list my opponent was playing, or his play skill, or my play skill, or the army or the scenario. I don't know. Like, I just don't know. And I'm not going to try and get into that. So my view on that tournament really was that I went 2-2 and had to play Slaanesh for a round. And looking at it from that lens, instead of going like, oh, I went 2 and 3, I had a losing record. Like, what is this? I feel like I had one game against a busted army that just got a major FAQ to kill its bustedness. And then I had 4 games that were all really good. I went 2 and 2, and they were all super close and all really fun with a lot of great opponents. So, like, I don't know. Like, that's more of the headspace that I'm in. Is like, am I having fun? Am I having good games? Am I personally playing well? And playing well and playing with a good army are two different things. So I think in terms of some of the content that I want to create as well, I think I want to talk more about, instead of like, what is a good list, or, the things that are good and bad in an army, talking more about like tactical things. Like a video that I've wanted to do for a while now is about retreating, which sounds like a really weird thing to do a video on. But it's something that I noticed like a lot of better players do all the time. And the more average players that I play against, they get stuck into combat and they don't leave. And I think that's one of those sorts of things where, like, if you think about their retreat more, then it can tactically improve your game. Now, does that mean it's going to like win you a GT instead of doing that? No, it's just going to level up your own game a little bit. And that's really what I'm more interested in doing content about, is like making your game experience better. You don't have to be the best. We should all just be striving for this like continuous self-improvement, comparing present day you to former you, and like how are you doing? Are you playing better? Are you making better decisions? Are you trying everything out in your army? Are you experiencing everything? Are you getting the experience you want out of the game? Another thing that I've been thinking about is Facebook groups. Now, again, from higher level players, their perspective, and, you know, I'll honestly say my own perspective until recently, when I started thinking about this more and changing my mode of thinking a little bit, it's like, why the hell are people asking so many stupid questions on Facebook? And then I reflected on it and I said, oh, it's because this is what the average player's experience actually is. And these people just don't know the answers. They don't know, you know, how many times do you see a question where it's like, what base size is this model on? Well, experienced players all know that there's like a GW basing chart that you can just Google and, you know, look up your unit and it's right there. But it's one of those things, it's like the FAQs. Like, if you don't even know that exists, it's like, how do you know what base size to put your units on if you're rebasing an old army? So that's the sort of thing that really has me thinking. And people ask questions and, you know, I think some people kind of shit on those questions or ignore those questions. And I think I may start doing a series of videos that is answering Facebook questions, like things that are like, you know, well, you might not know this. Like, this is a commonly asked thing, and it's common wisdom among, you know, the players that spend a lot more time thinking about this game than you do. But to the average person, it's not common knowledge. So we can just talk about it a little bit. You know, like, for example, a great question that I saw recently in the Skaven group. Somebody basically asked, it seems like nobody ever uses warp lightning cannons. They seem like they're really good. Why aren't people taking these? And there's answers to that. Like, we can walk through and explain why, you know, there's some sentiment of warp lightning cannons are a little too expensive maybe, and they're unreliable, and they could potentially blow themselves up, and you know, their range isn't what Giselles do, and, you know, Giselles might be more powerful, but, you know, here's what's good about warp lightning cannons and why you might want to run them. I've done a video comparing Giselles and warp lightning cannons, I think. I don't know. I haven't gone through all my videos in a while. It might have been one that I was just like, I think I might make this video, and then never did. But it might be down there somewhere. I don't know. Go fetch. But anyway, that's sort of my thoughts, year in review. Also, like, I went to Nova this year, and that was an amazing experience. I went to Du Bois GT in November. That was another awesome experience. And I really want to talk more as well. I went to a bunch of one-day tournaments throughout the year. I want to talk more about tournaments, but not like tournaments from the perspective of like playing on top tables. I want to just talk about the fun of the tournament experience. You know, at a one-day tournament, like going out to lunch with friends, you know, and talking about the game, like the experiences that you have in, you know, your big 2-day tournaments, your GTs, what that experience is. Like, you're with a bunch of your buddies at a hotel, and, you're gaming all day and after hours, you're getting more games in. You're playing Warcry, you're playing Shadespire, at Du Bois, there was a Blood Bowl tournament. There's all of this fun stuff. And, other thing, like people just like break out board games after hours. People break out the bottle after hours. Some people hit the bottle at noon. I really want to convey to people more like the experience, not just like a battle report. And I think that's like my trouble with battle reports is like, I feel like I make a battle report sometimes and I go to think about making a battle report and I'm like, what am I really doing here? And I think, going forward, I think I might do more kind of fun battle reports. I might do battle reports or like after action reports on more narrative games, that sort of thing. More fun, focusing on the fun of the hobby. And I think that's what I really want my channel to be about more going forward, is just where is the joy in all of this, and sharing that experience with everybody and helping everybody have a better gaming experience, not making you the most competitive elite tournament player, because God knows that's not even me. Like it took me going 2 GTs in a row and going 2-3 at both of them to scratch my head and say, maybe I'm really not a competitive player after all. And maybe I'm focusing on the wrong things, because I took Skaven to Nova, and despite Nova in general being a really, really good experience, I had a terrible experience playing the list that I brought, and it was because it was totally not my play style. It wasn't fun. It was just I was trying to power game, and like it backfired because that's just not me. So I think that's it for now. A lot of ideas for content to do in the future, and some new direction for my own hobby and the channel. I've got a hobby project that I'm going to be working on that I think I might do a video series on. I haven't decided yet, but I bought a new free Guild Griffin, and I haven't even opened the box yet. And I really want to go through and take that to the highest possible level. I want that to be like my painting competition level centerpiece model, and really, really try hard on it. And I think what I might do is do like step-by-step videos about like, here's what I'm doing, here's the techniques I'm using, here are the resources that I'm using, just to get people ideas about working on stuff. And also it's just like, I don't know, a thing for me too, like just for myself, maybe as sort of my own little reminder of working on things and kind of keep me motivated to keep working on it. So I don't want to say a hobby slump, because I had been in a hobby slump, and recently I've been kind of digging out of it. I'm still probably painting on average less than once a week, which is not good. I would like to be painting like an hour a day if I can, which is hard. I've got 2 kids and responsibilities, so you can't always do that. But I think it's something that is going to be good for me personally to do, and to try and force myself to do that. Like just sit down and put paint on your palette, put paint on your brush, and then it's going to find its way onto a model, and just try and do that every day. So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of videos that I want to do. And the thing that I want to see even more is feedback from you guys. What videos do you guys want to see? I know I've had a request for Greywater Fastness, going over that. That is coming. That is in the works. I have played with Greywater Fastness. That was one of the kind of barriers for me, was I wanted to actually play that city before doing a video on it. And there's some interesting things that kind of come out of Greywater Fastness. I think it's not quite what it is overtly, but anyway, it's kind of beside the point. Definitely want to do Living City. I think I've had requests for that. I really want to do Anvil Guard. Phoenicium is the one that I'm really like disinterested in doing because I think it's pretty like linear and obvious. Hallowheart is like also I think pretty linear and obvious what you do with it. And Hallowheart is also like it's just like a non-game. Like it falls into that like overly competitive non-game sort of territory that like I just don't like. Like my last couple of games in our escalation league, I played Hallowheart, and it was just like I'm gonna cast all the spells and mortal wound your stuff off the table, and I have very little on the table myself. So your small army that I've reduced you to has to face off against my small army, and we'll see what happens. And it like, is there stuff in there like that I would do differently? I think personally for myself, if I do Hallowheart in the future, it's going to be more light touch Hallowheart, where I'm like, I'm going to use really good magic to supplement what I'm otherwise doing, rather than have a really over the top magic list. But anyway, I'm digressing. That's sort of my. I'm just going to try and end it here. Summation: moving from Spike to Johnny and Timmy, doing more hobby content, addressing more of the interests, questions, concerns of like the average player, instead of focusing on things that are about competitive play. There's a lot of content out there about competitive play. You know, if you want to know like what tier your army falls into in competitive play, there are plenty of videos out there you can go watch. You can go watch, Honest Wargamer Stats video to find out, what the most popular armies are and what the most competitive armies are. And for most people, look at where their army falls in the stats and feel really bad. That's just my honest answer. Is like, I feel like for the average player, like those stats produce a lot of feel bads, because that you look at your own army and you're like, I'm not the best player in the world. Plus, competitive players running my army aren't doing well, so obviously I suck, right? Like, I think that there's some bad things about that for a lot of players. It's a great resource for competitive players. It's a great resource if you're interested in the thing, just as like T-sports. I think there's like, I really like the video that AOS Coach did recently, and I'm just like rambling off on a tangent again, but I really like the video that AOS Coach did recently, pulling stats out of AOS reminders and looking at that, because that's, I think, more representative of like what's going on with the common folk, because if if you're on top tables, you don't need AOS reminders, and you're probably not using it. If you're an average player that doesn't play all the time, AOS reminders is great. It's a great resource. So which one are you going to use? Like, are you going to go with that, or are you not going to go with that? I think the coach is really onto something there, because that's looking more at list creation, and not the end result. It's people tooling around with lists, and what people are what the current like ethos of the meta is. What are people thinking about more? So I think that's really cool. But as I said, like, I think this is just not going to be the place to come for competitive AOS content. This is going to be about fun and getting better, not necessarily getting great, but just improving your game. Deliberate practice to improve what you're doing. I know Vince Venturella talks about deliberate practice in painting. I think there's a lot to be said about that in playing the game, and there's a lot in that as well, like in that ethos that a lot of people have about painting, where it's about comparing yourself to your past self and your own work and looking at other things to get inspiration and ideas, and being creative, and it being more about your own journey than comparing yourself to other people. I think really we can focus on that as players as well. And that's kind of what I want to do a little bit more going forward. It's not get good, it's about get better. And also have more fun. And if anybody has ideas about how to get memes involved in the channel more, other than just trying to have more fun and be funny, feel free to drop ideas down there. Like, what do you want to see? That's it for now, guys. I'm just going to stop rambling. I said I was going to stop this video 10 minutes ago, and I didn't. I just kept rambling. So I will talk to you all later. Have a great Christmas. Happy New Year. Kwezi Kwanzaa. Whatever else is coming up. I don't know if we're past Hanukkah yet. Maybe. But anyway, good day to you all. I will see you all on the flip side.